Hey, Viking fans, it's not too late to right the ship of this defense. Let's start by bringing a ex-Viking back in the fold. Let's talk about it next in 3, 2, 1. Gather around, Skull brothers and sisters. This is Skull World, brought to you by Minnesota Sports Talk. I'm your host, Dave. You can follow me on Twitter, TikTok, and Facebook at Skull World. Make sure you also subscribe to friends of the channel, Purple and Gold for Days, Purple Pocket Podcast, GG Sports Podcast, The Purple Code. I do shows with all these guys. Check it out. I always want to help the other guys that I co-host with, and they do the same for me, so I appreciate it. Go subscribe, like, and comment on my show, and you can win a Chuck Foreman 44 jersey autographed by Chuck Foreman himself on January 3rd. Tomorrow, I think it's the 15th, I'm actually giving away a Spin Doctor Bobblehead on my show. That is at 7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern. Check that out. We're giving it to him then. Make sure, and here's what the Spin Doctor Bobblehead looks like. It's autographed. That's the only difference. Autographed jersey. This is what it looks like. That's Chuck Foreman himself. Drawing January 3rd. In partnership. Make sure you go to chuckforeman44.com. Use Skull15 at checkout and you'll get 15% off. Also, Fanatics. This is something you can get on Fanatics. Autograph. The catch. Photograph. Awesome. It's a little spendy, but there's other stuff on there. If you go on my links in the description of the video below, copy and paste, put it in another search engine, if you shop using that, I will get some credit for it, and you're helping out the channel. So let's talk about the guy I say bring back in the fold, Sheldon Richardson. I was inspired. I wanted him earlier in the season. I said, hey, we got a 3-4 defense. We need a guy who can rush the passer. He would be fairly good. He played defensive end as needed last year for us on a 4-3. I think he'd be better suited in the 3-4. As a defensive end, he can get pressure on the quarterback. In fact, in his last year, he was a 62 PFF grade, but the year before, when he was playing D tackle for us, he was a 71. So put him as a defensive end in a 3-4, and I say you get some production on him. Let's talk about the article by Heavy. Vikings urge to bring back Pro Bowl defender for playoff run. I want to know their sources. Who are they urging? I know I am. I'll urge to get him back because I think we need pass rushers. So let's do that. Donatel's defense is not working without getting to the quarterback. You need to give the quarterback as little time to throw the ball as possible. And right now we got a 3-yard bubble around these quarterbacks, and they're throwing for over 300 yards against us. Get me some pass rush. You got a guy sitting on the free agent market right now, not anywhere. We brought him back last year. He was effective. We needed him. He came cheap. He was like $2 million and some change. All right, so here's the article. The Minnesota Vikings have to get tougher up the middle in defense, and still available on the free agent market is a familiar face who can help them do just that. Former Pro Bowl defensive lineman Sheldon Richardson played the most recent snaps of his career with the Vikings. The next snap you see should be Minnesota 2. Despite a strong campaign, the team parted ways with Richardson after last season. He has yet to catch on with another franchise, and there is an argument to be that no contender in the NFL would benefit more from his presence than with the Vikings. I totally agree. We're the team that needs pass rush to help out with this Donna Shell defense. Minnesota defense is reason allegations of fake good and lucky have been hurled the team's way, regardless of the 10-3 record and sole possession of second place in the NFC. While the entire defensive side of the ball has struggled top to bottom in 2022, it is a lack of presence up the middle that has been catastrophic in the Vikings' 3 losses. Minnesota surrendered 163 yards on the ground to the Eagles in Week 2, allowed Dallas Cowboys 151 on November 20th, and gave up 135 rushing yards in Detroit Lions last Sunday. People keep throwing that number around. 48 of it came from a fake punt. So we held them to under 100 yards outside of a fake punt. They did have 2 or 3, 10-yard runs late in the game that gave them a little bit of a cushion. But again, 48 yards came from that. I'm not too worried about the run defense as much as the pass defense. So it goes on to say Richardson produced at a high level for the Vikings last season, his second run with the team after playing in Minnesota for 1 year in 2018. I think he played effective. I wouldn't say he was dominant or anything like that, but he played effective and did put pressure on the quarterback, and he was much needed help when we lost Danielle Hunter, especially at defensive end. We were just weak at defensive end last year. He had to step in, fill a role, and I thought he did a pretty good job. The defensive linemen amassed 39 tackles, 13 quarterback hits, 4 pass defense, 2.5 sacks, 1 forced fumble, and 1 fumble recovery per Pro Football Reference. The now 32-year-old Richardson appeared in all 17 Minnesota games, earning 7 starts. So he didn't even start the whole time. He had to start at defensive end late in the game. So he was a part-time player for us last year until we needed him, and he was effective. So the numbers aren't impressive, but when you think he wasn't starting, they are. Christopher Knox of Bleacher Report on Monday, December 12th, authored an argument for the Vikings to bring Richardson back onto the fold for the final 4 games of the regular season and the playoff run. Richardson is still unsigned. This is the argument. Is still unsigned, and it would behoove the Vikings to change that. Minnesota came into Sunday's ranks 16th against the run, 32nd against the pass, and 31st in yards allowed. Richardson has the potential to play inside or at defensive end, and he's familiar with the Minnesota's personnel and senior defensive assistant Paul Gunther, if not new defensive coordinator Ed Donatil. It wouldn't be a shock to see Richardson step into the Vikings defense and provide an instant spark, much like Baker Mayfield did for Los Angeles Rams on Thursday. Were the Vikings to bring Richardson in now, they could pair him on defensive line alongside recently returned Dalvin Tomlinson in the team's 3-4 scheme. Tomlinson missed 4 consecutive games after sustaining a calf injury during Week 8 matchup against the Arizona Cardinals. He returned 2 games ago against the New York Jets. Richardson and Tomlinson in tandem could help to shore up the defense that has struggled mightily, and which must be better if the Vikings hope to make a real run through the NFC this postseason. So, I agree. Harrison Phillips is fine at nose tackle. Sorry, he's fine at nose tackle. But if you we need someone who can get to the quarterback. That is our detriment right now. And this guy can. Sheldon Richardson has always been known as a 3 technique. Put him at defensive end. I don't care. Put him at defensive end. Let's get him to do that. But he also could do the nose tackle on 3rd down. He could do anything, honestly, on this defensive line at 3-4. Anything would be better than what we've got going on as far as a pass rush goes. So I think it's worth taking a risk. We need to roll the dice. The Eagles did it and took 2 players that we should have been looking at. And now we got Sheldon Richardson still out there. Pro Bowler Sheldon Richardson, former Viking. It only makes sense. Let's go get him. Skull Vikes. Make sure you hit subscribe, like, and leave a comment below. I want to hear what you got to think. Should we pick up Sheldon Richardson? I say yes. Let's go. Skull Vikings. See you next time. I'm out. Cue the music. Thank you, Viking fans, for listening. Make sure you catch my other episodes. Also, make sure you subscribe, like, and leave a comment below. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Skull Vikes.